Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Damien Wolf. I'm back again for another Diablo Immortal content. And right now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on a Challenge Rift build that we have for the Monk. So I'm going to walk you through some of the gear, the skills that we'll be using, and how they're going to be used, why those skills are being chosen, etc. etc. One thing I gotta note though, that as for the legendary gems or any gems that you're gonna be socketing, I'm not gonna be covering that one because everybody has their own way of playing. Whether you're a whale, a dolphin, minnow, or an F2P player, then that's gonna be up to you. But I'll be focusing on the gear and the skills. So if you do have questions or if you want to have if you have any comments or anything that you'd like to talk about regarding the build, feel free to do so on the description. Oh, sorry, on the comments. Alright, so let's get started. Right now, I'm actually already using that build. I actually have one tip that I want to say in this video is that you can utilize your Armory to put in case you haven't, alright. It's a one-stop shop to make sure that you have your different builds in. So I have the general build. Normally this is also the PvP build that I have, but for monks sometimes we can use this for the field, so I just put it as general. I have a twins build. This is for T1, and normally that focuses on reduction of damage. Boss builds, this is actually an active damage buff that I have along with Inner Sanctuary, but I'm not going to talk about all of this. Of course, we have the Castle Defense build, focusing more on continuous damage. And finally, we have the Challenge Rift build. So I'm going to show you. I'm actually wearing that right now. Alright, so let's look at our current set. So here is my gear. Of course, don't take any attention on the resonance and whatever. Everybody has different ways of playing, but hopefully the build will also help you no matter what resonance you are in or whatever legendary gems you have on. So here it is. The skills that we're going to be using are these skills. We're going to be using Exploding Palm, Cyclone Strike, Inner Sanctuary, and Seven-Sided Strike. Alright? And then, of course, we're using essences that will expand or buff these particular skills. For example, for the Exploding Palm, we are using an essence which allows you to launch at the location and strike that area with the giant palm as you land, inflicting 3000 damage to all enemies, but the cooldown has been increased. So this is that essence build. It is called the Reaching Rebuke. So again, don't pay any attention to whatever the stats or the gem which is indicated there. Focus on the skill. So it launches you to a location, strike that area with a giant palm, and you actually have the exploding curse built to the enemy. So I'll show that later. Here is that skill. There you go. So there's of course the primary usage of that skill is to make sure that your enemies have been hit by the exploding curse, because once they have been hit by that, they will now have AoE splash damage when they die. So that's going to be very essential for us to clear the mobs that we have for the challenge rifts. The second skill that I have on is the Cyclone. Let me fix that. There you go. The Cyclone Strike. And we also have an essence from the chest, which is Cyclone Strike. Now generates a powerful tornado that deals 33,000 damage to all nearby enemies over 6 seconds. And also Cyclone Strike temporarily decreases all damage you take by 20%, which is from the legs. Now this is also important, and I'll show you why later. Alright, so the Cyclone Strike will look like this. And as you can see, it is wind damage, wind elemental damage that was going to be going on. And if you look at the upper left, you will see that there is a buff there, which is from the legs that we have, and that is the one which helps decrease the damage. See? So damage taken is decreased. Alright, now what's cool about this, guys, is that whenever we activate the Cyclone Strike's buff, that also activates a few buffs that we have. For example, the Vithu's Urge buff, and actually I do have a Bottled Hope, but let's just assume we don't have the Bottled Hope. The Vithu's Urge that I have is actually 4. This will work for any 4 gear of Vithu's Urge, because we need this stat. Increases the target's attack speed by 30% for 3 seconds each time you use a skill to grant a beneficial effect to yourself or a party member, and also increases the duration of all beneficial effects on you or your party members by 30%. Which means that if we use the Cyclone Strike, and it is actually buffed by the one that we have on the legs, which is the Cyclone Strike also temporarily decreases all damage you take by 20%. So this time, once we do that, the buff activates, and when the buff activates, the Vithu's Urge effect also activates. So your decreased damage will have a 30% increase in the duration, plus your attack speed will increase for 30% for 3 seconds. That's why it is all of the gear that we have here actually complements each other and will help towards defeating the enemies. So once again, here is the Cyclone Strike, and as you can see, buffs are activated. Buff into a buff into a buff. Now the third skill that we'll be using is of course Inner Sanctuary, and Inner Sanctuary will have an essence of the Circle of Justice. So deals 44,000 damage over 8 seconds to all enemies within it, and its cooldown has changed to 20 seconds, but it no longer protects you. So we're gonna put in some continuous damage here. All right, that will help us in hitting the enemies that come inside the circle. So that's one. And the last skill that we have is of course the ever-present 7-sided strike. Now, our 7-sided strike has an essence of Steering Flame. So 7-sided strike becomes empowered with fire, dealing 9,000 initial damage with each strike and 5,000 additional burning damage over 3 seconds. Now, here it is, guys. This is the reason why we have this Dragon's Indignation, which adds the burn effect. 7-sided strike now continuously burns enemies. The reason why we're gonna add that is because we're gonna take advantage of the mechanic that is in the game, which is the combination of wind and fire. The combination of wind and fire will then cause all of your fire damage to be all critical. Yes, and you guys know that. It's already been up in different YouTube videos. So we have that here in this build. So first we have the Exploding Palm, which will give you the Explosive Curse. Then we activate the Cyclone, put in the Inner Sanctuary, and then hit them with a 7-sided strike for burning damage. And they're continuously being hit by the Hidden Sanctuary, and also getting hit by their burning effect, which will be all critical effects because of the wind we have from the Cyclone Strike. Plus, the Cyclone Strike will allow us to have 20% decreased damage, and also it's gonna be activating the Vithu's Urge set, so the decreased damage will be increased with 30% duration, plus you'll have the 3 seconds increase in the attack speed as well. Alright, now for the other 2 gear, I actually just have Shalbaas, a Shalbaas set, just 2 pieces of Shalbaas. That increases my primary attack damage by 15%, which will complement the damage that's going to be given by the Vithu's Urge attack speed. So I have higher attack speed, and with that higher attack speed I have higher damage coming from the Shalbaas set. So let's give it a test. Alright, let's go ahead to the Challenge Rift and then see if we are able to do it, and I'll try to see if I can walk you through, guys, while I try to kill the monsters. Of course, there's a lot of lag, as always. And let's wait for the challenge rift to load. I will actually attempt to do the current difficulty that I have. I'm sorry for my level, I am not that active, but it's pretty high, 133 damage. Oh, sorry, level 133. Let's see if we are able to finish it with this build. And here we go. Alright, we're inside the rift. And I'm gonna show you what happens if we try to use the skills in unison. As you can see the burning effect has critical damage because of the combination between fire and wind. And the inner sanctuary just adds a little bit more damage to it. So that's cool. Now, normally I don't like builds with no dash effects, but the exploding palm, the jumping palm, you know, thing with the exploding palm, actually somewhat counts like a dash. So here we go, jump, put in the wind, inner sanctuary, do another jump. People are exploding all over the place. You can do another jump. Alright, and remember, once you do your cyclone strike, you have 20% decreased damage, and you know, on rifts that you get damaged a lot, that certainly helps. There you go, you can see Unli criticals from the burning effect. So obviously in a challenge rift you try to get to the blue monsters. Alright, let's move on. I'm missing the movement speed from Shield of Zen, but I think we're doing quite well. Let's move on to the next blue monster. Okay, that is a dead end. I am not going to waste my time with that. The cool thing about this build as well is that it can actually do well with against boss monsters, because all of the effects does have a little bit of damage, even including the explosive palm. Alright, okay, here's a blue. Let's try to get everybody in so that we can have as many hit by our skills as possible. You can see them exploding even if you leave. Okay. Let's see if we can get through. Even without the inner sanctuary, if you combine the wind and the burn from your seven-sided strike, you'll see that we are causing a lot of damage. Here we go, boss fight. Okay, so we have the Countess, and it also works in the boss. As you can see, all of our burning effects have critical hits because of the combination attack, combination elemental damage from wind and fire. There you go. So this build takes advantage of that fact. And as you can see, remember that you also have increased attack speed. See? Vithu's Urge is activated because of the decreased damage buff that we got from the legs. See? Look at that attack speed. Alright, I think we're doing quite well. Make sure that we're getting the health globes. We can even activate our super. What we're gonna do is we're gonna activate the Vithu's Urge effect, and then let's activate our SS for fast attack speed. There you go, look at attack speed. Okay. Make sure we take advantage of the health globes. Almost done, guys. There we go. We got it. Alright. So that is the current. This is the build that I wanted you guys to use. Hopefully it will help you on your challenge rifts. Appreciate the time. And once again, guys, I'll see you on the battlefield. Bye.